Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger. Up next, keys to victory. Let's talk. The Baltimore Ravens take on the Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football. And the question we have on our hands is, how can they get a win? Well, first, let's talk about a game plan. I think that the Baltimore Ravens can't get stuck trying to establish the run. I think that that could be one of the major mistakes. If the run game is working, let it work. But don't spend a whole lot of time trying to force feed Derrick Henry to get him going. Because in truth, if there's no holes, there is no getting going, right? And so I think that the game plan should be let whatever works. If the pass game is clicking, pass the ball. If the run game gets geared up, run the ball. Either way is fine. We've been explosive in both dynamics of the offense. So I think that's number one. I think the number two part of the game plan defensively is let's make sure we are focused on maintaining the back out of the backfield. That's an area where we've consistently struggled, and that's an area where the Detroit Lions thrive, getting the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield. He can catch it, he's fast, and he can get away once he gets his hand on the ball. And so I think those are the two game plans. Those have to be the two focuses. Offensively, let whatever work. Defensively, make sure we manage the back out of the backfield. Now let's get into some keys to victory. Like always, I'm gonna give you 6 keys, 3 offensively, 3 defensively, and there may be some bonuses. Let's get into it. Key number 1, offensively. Don't get dominated along the offensive line. 2 out of 2 weeks, the Baltimore Ravens offense has been shown up by a defensive player. In week number 1, Ed Oliver made big play after big play, or he was a contributor while somebody else made big plays. And having a defender that is disruptive, that's normal, but we can't get dominated by said defender. And in truth, he was in on the play that caused the Derrick Henry fumble and turned the whole game on its head, and we end up with a loss. In week number 2, I thought the offensive line played poorly, as I highlighted with talking about Andrew Voorhees. He in particular has to step it up. The left side of the offensive line was supposed to be, well, let me say it this way, from the center to Ronnie Stanley, going that direction, was supposed to be the strongest part of this offensive line. But when we look at the statistics, the numbers, and the tape, it has actually been one of the weakest because of Voorhees. And I think that teams will begin to target him. So one key to victory is just don't get dominated. If you play things evenly, meaning you don't win and they don't win, fine. At least that may help negate negative plays. But if you get dominated, there's going to be tackles in the backfield, the run game won't get going, and then Lamar Jackson will have to be running around all over the field just to get the ball out of his hand. So that's number 1. Key number 2, offensively. Let's see if we can occupy the middle of the field, whether that's with Mark Andrews, whether Charlie Kolar gets involved, or that's with a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. Now, we know that DeAndre Hopkins has been good for 1 catch per game of the spectacular. I would like to see him have 3 or 4 catches. They don't have to be spectacular. If he gets one, great, but 3 or 4 catches, chain movers, something that keeps the Baltimore Ravens on track. And typically he's going to be patrolling the middle of the field. Yes, he can operate on the outside, but I think at his age, I think being a big slot receiver could be beneficial. So let's see if we can get into the middle of the field, which will help open up things for Zay Flowers, help open up things for Rashad Bateman, and it may even help us do some things on the outside with the run game, with possibly an appearance from a Keaton Mitchell. All right, so that's number 2. Key number 3, which is probably the most important key. Let's make sure we get the ball in Devontae Walker's hands. His level of speed was on display last week, and If I remember correctly, he started the game last week. He didn't have, 6, 7 catches, but when he did put his hands on the ball, they were going for touches. And I think that he could be integral because with his speed, the chances are that a cornerback is going to play him like a press coverage, a bump and run, that kind of thing. That's a failing attempt because most corners can't run with a 4-3-4 wide receiver. So I think that he'll be able to get some more run and some more chances at making catches because of the space that he'll be given. And if he can run his defender off, then that allows opportunity for the underneath routes to come open. I think we're going to need some short and intermediate stuff this week, just simply because I don't trust the offensive line. That's why first key was don't get dominated. Aiden Hutchinson is healthy, and he is, I won't call him elite just yet, but he's an upper echelon edge rusher, and he has the type of talent that can dominate. And so we just have to play things even, very similar to how we did with Myles Garrett last week. Myles Garrett did get in on the act. He's just that kind of talent. But we didn't allow him to destroy the game. And I think that's what we have to do this week. If we can upgrade our pass blocking this week and improve the run blocking, I think that we can get out of Baltimore with a win. When we jump to the defensive side of the ball, I think that one of the keys is don't give up the deep pass. They really only have one deep threat, and that's Jamison Williamson. I think that's his name. Has good speed. He has the ability to take the top off. But if you really pay attention to Detroit, they like to hit the tight end and they like to hit St. Brown more or less in the intermediate and in the middle of the field, which is an area that we struggle. And so we can't give up the middle of the field and get beat deep. So first key is let's keep everything in front of us. That's number one. The number two is figure out a way to manage Sam Laporta. The Baltimore Ravens absolutely have trouble with big time tight ends. We saw Kincaid do some things in week 1. I think Njoku had a couple of solid catches in week number 2. And then now you have an offense that's well equipped. They have the run game, they have the tight end, they have the wide receivers, and they have the offensive line. So everything they need, they have in-house. And so I think that being able to manage Sam Laporta is going to be what's beneficial for us. You're going to hear me say manage a lot because I don't think there's any way to put the clamps on this offense. So we have to manage it, keep things at a minimum, keep them, in situations where they have to be in third down and long and have to be trying to go for it on fourth down, things of that nature. Keeping them behind the chains is going to be a way we can manage this Detroit Lions offense. Key number 3, manage the run game. Again, Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the best young backs in this league. I would put him in the top 5 with what he can do as a running back in the pass game, in the run game. Everything you need in a running back, he has. And we saw Quinshon Judkins get off a little bit against us last week, not in a dominating fashion, but that Cleveland offense does not have the artillery that this Detroit offense has. And it really has me concerned. That's why I think this is one of the more even matchups this week 3. And so I think that we can allow Gibbs just to do 100 yards and then St. Brown to do 7 catches and 100 yards and then allow Sam Laporta to do 5-6 catches and 70 yards and then Jamison Williams 2 catches for 60, right? That means everybody's eating. And so I think we have to be able to manage what they're already good at. I don't think there's a way to shut down this offense simply because we don't have the edge rush. You see, when you saw this team, Detroit, I'm speaking of, get shut down in week number 1, it's because the Green Bay Packers have the edge rush that we don't have. You see, they don't have the talent that we have on the back end necessarily. But when you have an edge rush, a guy who can make his presence felt with consistency, you make your secondary better because they don't have to cover as long. They can jump routes, so on and so forth. And so when you saw Green Bay face off against Detroit, they stopped the run and then they got after the passer. And I think that's what we have to do this week. Our pass rush has to be felt. It cannot be a situation where Jared Goff has enough time to call his wife, get a sandwich, get something to drink, and then throw the ball. He's not elusive like a Josh Allen was in week 1, but he's not a statue like Joe Flacco, who also hit us up for 2 pretty good runs out of the pocket, picking up first downs. Jared Goff is a little more fleet-footed than that. And so if we come in here half-stepping, if we come into this game and our edge rushers can't bend those corners, can't get to the quarterback, we're going to have a long day. The Detroit Lions have one of the best offensive lines led by Penei Sewell, best right tackle in the game. And so it's going to be interesting who lines up over him. I think this is a game where I believe we're going to have to do some blitzing, but it's going to have to be strategic. It can't be reckless. In fact, I think we need to implement, which is a bonus, I think we're going to need an implementation of some run blitz, meaning blitzing the run on the way to the quarterback. Because this team is confident. This team played last week with an attitude, and they took a little bit of heat from some critics because they were still throwing the ball when they were up big. But my philosophy is, don't complain. You don't want them to score? Stop them from scoring, right? And so putting up 52 last week against Chicago, you would like to think we come with a better team overall defensively than the Chicago Bears. So I don't think we're giving up 52, but if we don't come to play and we look anything like we looked in week number 1, it's going to be a problem. Now, we do know that Jared Goff does have a tendency to put the ball in harm's way. I think he had 16 or 17 interceptions last season, even with, I think, a 4 interception game thrown in that. And so hopefully, when he gives us an opportunity to get our hands on the ball, just like last week, we pick it off and do something with it. So those are my keys to victory. That's what I'm thinking. I'll give you my prediction probably Sunday. When I get with you guys on Sunday, I give you my prediction on the game. Believing that the Baltimore Ravens will, matter of fact, let me do it now. I believe that the Baltimore Ravens win this game. I do believe it's going to end up in a shootout. I do believe that Lamar Jackson will have to put the cape on. And I think we have to go for about 38 points. I think we end up with 4 or 5 touchdowns, rushing and throwing, and 2 field goals from Tyler Loop. I think we win this game 38-33. Baltimore moves to 2-1. So listen, you guys let me know what you want me to know. What's your score prediction? I'm your guy, Belanger. This is the GM, and we're out.